April 5, 1923. Cairo's Continental Hotel. A wealthy British lord lies in agony, his breath failing. At 1:55 a.m., the exact moment he dies, the entire city of Cairo is plunged into pitch black as the power grid fails without explanation. Thousands of miles away in England, the lord's pet dog suddenly begins to howl. Seconds later, she drops dead. Months earlier, Lord Carnarvon had funded a final, desperate expedition. Archaeologist Howard Carter was searching for a pharaoh whose name had been lost to time, and in November 1922, his workers found a set of stairs cut into the rocky hillside of the Valley of the Kings. Behind a sealed door lay over 5,000 pristine objects: chariots, meteorite iron daggers, and a 10-kilogram solid gold death mask. This was the tomb of King Tutankhamun. The discovery became a global sensation, but a terrifying question began to circulate. Had the team stumbled into a simple tomb, or had they tripped an ancient, supernatural trap designed to kill anyone who disturbed the pharaoh's sleep? The omens started early. Shortly after the tomb was opened, a cobra, the ancient symbol of Egyptian royalty, slithered into Carter's house and devoured his pet canary right inside its cage. This chart shows the escalating panic. A popular novelist published a public warning that a gruesome punishment awaited the intruders. 12 days later, Carnarvon was dead. Over the next 6 years, 22 people connected to the excavation met early, often bizarre ends. When doctors finally performed an autopsy on the 3,000-year-old mummy, they found a circular lesion on the king's cheek. It was in the exact same spot where a mosquito had bitten Lord Carnarvon, causing his fatal infection. By the end of the decade, the public looked at the blackout, the dead dog, and the matching facial marks as overwhelming proof. To them, the curse of the pharaohs was an undeniable reality. While the legends suggest a powerful, magical god-king, Tutankhamun's actual life was far more tragic. He was the fragile product of centuries of heavy royal inbreeding. This diagram shows his harsh biological reality. He suffered from a severe clubfoot, painful bone degradation from Kohler's disease, and multiple bouts of malaria. He was so frail, his tomb had to be packed with 130 walking sticks just so he could stand. He was so unimportant that his successors intentionally erased his name from all official records, hoping he would be forgotten by history. Attempting to erase him is the reason his burial chamber survived. No one knew he existed, so grave robbers never targeted his tomb, leaving the cursed trap perfectly preserved for Howard Carter. Modern investigation shows the curse myth was actually built by the media. The famous tablet warning intruders of death was a total fabrication, a story created by a reporter after the site's security guard stayed silent during an interview. This chart compares the lifespans of people who physically entered the tomb against Westerners in Egypt who stayed outside. There was no difference. Those exposed to the curse lived to an average age of 73, higher than the 1920s baseline life expectancy. The spooky coincidences also collapse under scrutiny. Power grid failures were standard in 1920s Cairo, and when you adjust for time zones, Carnarvon's dog actually died hours after her owner. Lord Carnarvon was already chronically ill and spent winters in Egypt because he couldn't survive the London cold. Without penicillin, a simple mosquito bite in the Egyptian summer was a natural death sentence. Cognitive bias and a competitive news industry turned routine infrastructure failures and tragic biology into the legend of a supernatural assassin. If a pharaoh's curse were actually hunting those who disturbed the tomb, Howard Carter should have been the primary target. He was the one who broke the seal and physically handled the mummy. Yet Carter lived for 16 more years after the discovery, eventually dying of natural causes at the age of 64. Whenever journalists asked him about his impending doom, Carter's dismissive refrain remained the same: "I am still alive." Ancient Egyptian theology outlines the concept of the second death. They believed a person only truly ceases to exist when their name is spoken aloud for the final time. Tutankhamun's enemies successfully wiped his name from the earth for 3,000 years, but the 1920s media panic accidentally resurrected it on a global scale. The curse was a complete lie, but it acted as the ultimate spell of immortality. It ensured that Tutankhamun's name would never be forgotten again.